Hello everyone, I'm all about Sonic the Telltale Game. Bringing us everything Telltale Games, Transformers, and more. For today's review, we're going to be doing Transformers Robots in Disguise Combiner Force Episode 7, The Great Divide. Now, I didn't think this season could get any better, but this episode definitely was a fantastic episode of Combiner Force. Probably one of the best episodes of Robots in Disguise as a whole. I really enjoyed this episode. This episode is also probably the most story-driven episode that we've gotten towards the main plot since the season premiere. So we're gonna, and it's definitely got a lot of good stuff about it. So we're gonna go ahead and see everything this episode did right and what it did wrong. So this episode appears to take place nearly right after the events of the last episode, Be Cool. Basically, it starts off with the whole B team minus Blur chasing after Dragstrip from last episode, who's stolen another artifact from one of Windblade's caches. So basically, they're chasing Dragstrip through the swamp until eventually Dragstrip ends up getting caught in a little mud pit. So doing this seeing that they're trapped, Bumblebee allows Sideswipe to go ahead and try to take down Dragstrip. However, at this time, Dragstrip activates his some subsonic resonator that he had. He also used this back in the last episode, which causes which combined with the methane gas of the swamp causes it to explode and knocks all the Autobots together, accidentally forming them into Ultra B. Dragstrip sees this and freaks out, so he runs away to tell Menasor about this, and so not Menasor, Motormaster about this. Menasor's the combination, and so meanwhile during this, while Ultra B is unconscious, Frenzy returns once again. We last saw him at the end of episode 3, Defrosted, I believe. And so basically, Frenzy ends up getting Sideswipe's Decepticon Hunter now, which he lost when he tried to capture Dragstrip, and then Frenzy ends up running away. Meanwhile, back to Ultra B, they're and I feel like to say this is probably one of the, it reminds me a lot of if you ever watched Voltron Legendary Defender on Netflix, it's a lot like that. Basically, Ultra B wakes up and so I had my suspicions as to how exactly Ultra B's voice was going to be, whether or not it would be all their voices put together or Will Friedle's going to be voicing all of them. Apparently, I was sort of right on this. Basically, all the Autobots each can still talk. Sideswipe can still talk, even though he's the left arm. Storm can talk and all that, but Bumblebee voices the overall that body of Ultra B. So basically, they're all freaking out that they're combined and all that, but then they slowly try to get themselves to work together. However, after Sideswipe freaks out, they end up falling down and decombining. And then this leads to the main plot of this episode, which revolves around Sideswipe ending up splitting into two halves. One, which is all of his sassy attitude and anger, and all his it's a jerk all the time, and the other side, which is basically his vanity and how he's always concerned, all his shortcomings and all that. So for the sake of this review, to make sure that we don't get the two Sideswipes confused, I'm gonna be calling the bad Sideswipe Jerk Swipe, and we're gonna be calling the whiny Sideswipe Wine Swipe. So all the Autobots, along with Jerk Swipe and Wine Swipe, end up going back to the scrapyard, and they're trying to figure out why they combined, because they didn't know they combined back at in King of the Hill Part 2, as well as why Sideswipe is now split into two different Sideswipes. So, thanks to some text from Fixit, we learned that apparently the reason they're actually able to combine, which I'm really glad they decided to go over since not just Camp Fizz oh, you could always combine, no, is that apparently due to the nuclear explosion that all the Autobots got in at the end of King of the Hill Part 2, their bodies became somehow irradiated so that they're able to combine, and apparently with that end combined with the explosion in earlier this episode, apparently whenever all the Autobots get caught in a massive explosion, they can combine. This happened, and also the reason why Sideswipe splits up is because since he was the closest to the explosion, it split him up into his personality into two different Sideswipes. So during this, we get a little funny moments between Wine Swipe and Jerk Swipe, but basically how the two hate each other, and Wine Swipe's always being cowardly. He thinks that they're gonna Bumblebee's gonna throw him and Jerk Swipe off the team, while Jerk Swipe just wants to leave regardless, and Grimlock ends up having to hold on to him the entire time. It's really funny. Anyways, after this, we get another sneak peek back to Frenzy, who delivers the Sideswipe Decepticon Hunter to Soundwave, who says that he's halfway through with his plan, whatever it may be, and Frenzy ends up jumping back into the Shadow Zone with him. We still have no idea what Soundwave's planning. I'm almost certain that they're gonna be they're probably gonna give us more and more teases of Soundwave throughout the entire series, and then we'll finally see him probably at the end of the season as the main villain of season 3, which I'm really looking forward to, because I didn't really see Motor Master and his Stunticons being the main villain, it's kind of like how Season 1, when we all thought Steeljaw was going to be the main villain of Season 1, and then they whipped out Megatronus at the end of, right at the end of Season 1. I feel like it's going to be just like that. Meanwhile, we cut back to Dragstrip, who has reunited with everyone's favorite unofficial son of Knockout and Breakdown, Wild Break. He ends up showing Dragstrip ends up showing him and Motor Master, who we still don't know what he looks like. We just see him sitting in a warehouse in this alt form for this entire sequence. Travis Willingham is still voicing Motor Master. So basically, Dragstrip showing both of them the device that he got, which is a sort of a gravity adjuster, and it basically, what he does, end up shooting Wild Break with it, and basically makes him so heavy that he can't move off the ground. And it's so basically after that, Dragstrip is considering going full Starscream and perhaps maybe betraying Motor Master and taking over the Stunticons. So he goes off to a military base or a construction site to go wreak havoc there with it and get the Autobots' attention and test it out. This leads to the whole team alongside Jerkswipe and Wineswipe heading over to the site to deal with it. So because of how uncooperative Jerkswipe and Wineswipe are being, Bumblebee has them and Strongarm go to check for any leftover civilians at the site, while he, Drift, and Grimlock fight Dragstrip. And of course, this doesn't go so well. Bumblebee, Drift, and Grimlock are all easily overpowered by Dragstrip. And then, while Strongarm, Jerkswipe, and Wineswipe are all rescuing Jerkswipe's complaining about constantly having be put on the sidelines, and then Wineswipe ends up saving Jerkswipe's life because he from being crushed by a rebar, and because of his enhanced perception. After this, Strongarm comes out, tells him that it's clear, and then she gets buried under by a bunch of rubble by Dragstrip, who uses the gravity adjuster to cause the building to cave in and bury her along not Jerkswipe and Wineswipe. That's up to them to take down Dragstrip. So I really like this, how it seems to be more. I'm really liking that Sideswipe is getting more episodes, and they are in negative development episodes. Like there was Blurred, and then this season there was Blurred, and then last season, especially in the Starscream episodes, there was the whole everything from I think My Big Trouble to the final episode. That was really negative development. Season 2 did that well, but Season 2 didn't have enough, Season 2 didn't have any Sideswipe development, so I'm happy that Season 3 is getting more positive Sideswipe development. Anyway, thanks to a quick plan by Jerkswipe and Wineswipe, they're able to defeat Dragstrip, finally take him in, and save Bumblebee and everyone else. After this, Jerkswipe and Wineswipe end up being fused back into one singular Sideswipe by fixing everyone, and Sideswipe ends up, hopefully, being a lot more, not jerky, and not, because it seems as though Wineswipe is slowly, because it seemed like, as we heard throughout the episode, Jerkswipe always seems to address Wineswipe as the little voice in his head that always tells him not to do things, but the way he sees it at the end of the episode, Jerkswipe, and then finally when they combine back into regular Sideswipe, see that it's not so bad to have feelings and constantly be care about your teammates and stuff like that. So I'm really glad that you see that, and I can't wait to see it for the next episode. So that's it for my review of Transformers Robots in the Skies Combined Force Episode 7, The Great Divide. If I had to rate this episode, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Definitely the best episode of Combiner Force by far. I really liked the whole plot with Jerkswipe and Wineswipe, more info on Soundwave and his master plan, more background onto the Stunticons, and even, finally, we might be seeing more of Ultra Bee in the future. I've been looking forward to. So that's going to be it for this review. I'll be back soon with Episode 8, Get a Clue. If you like this review, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.